A lot of people raving about Manchester United, and the Man United fans are going to say, "Oh, that's typical Keown, coming on here." But let's look at the League Cup. Let's look who they've beaten.
What the fuck? So they beat Burnley at home. They beat Charlton at home. They beat the Forest team, who are kind of like way bottom at the bottom of the table. Really, not the best of the teams.
To be honest, I thought with the better team to start with.
Yeah, you did.
I think the first goal, if I'm honest, I thought was probably offside.
The big noise in the Premier League is not League Cup, it's who wins the Premier League. Man United were built in this era to win Premier Leagues. They haven't won a Premier League now for a third of the Premier League's existence, and that's in a straight line.
I'm satisfied now because finally I get my trophy, but I want more. I want much more.
Congratulations, Bruno, but we'll let him join the celebration.
Welcome back to the Football Terrace and the Top 6 show. The crying has died down somewhat since yesterday. Twitter was going crazy. There was a lot of salt. I have heard back from the NHS. They've told us that blood pressures after the salt intake yesterday evening has now been reduced. People's health is well and good. Martin Keown's okay. Simon Jordan is okay. And Man United, of course, lifted that trophy. We're going to delve into that and much, much more on the show today, including Graham Potter. Is he facing the sack in the next 2 games? Based on an article from Matt Law. We're going to look at the top of the table race. We're going to also delve into Tottenham. For me, outclassing, battering Chelsea. Chelsea had no chance in that game, securing themselves 4 points clear into the top 4 race as well. I've got a brilliant panel with me, though, tonight. Look at them ready to go. Neek's here, ready to rep United with the Carabao Cup champions in the background. Absolutely love it. Man like Tom is here. I don't know what, this is Liverpool in the mud. I'm glad he showed up, but I do feel a bit, I almost feel sorry for Tom out of all Liverpool fans. Jords is here to receive, listen, he's going to get praise for beating Chelsea, but of course he lost that bet. He said that Tottenham would win a trophy before Manchester United at the beginning of the season, and that ended in typical fashion with Spurs not winning a trophy. Carefree Lewis is here. I don't know if back Chelsea is the right word anymore, but he's here to talk Chelsea with us. And back on the terrace after a long time, repping Arsenal today. Man like Dudes is back with us here. TikTok sensation, ready to go. How is everybody this wonderful, beautiful Monday evening?
I woke up this morning feeling fine. Carabao Cup on my mind. Listen, I'm good.
I woke up this morning wanting to die, but didn't happen. Maybe next time.
Mate, listen, you guys are in the mud, and we will get into Man United a little bit later. The first talking point actually voted in by the viewers, though, is Chelsea. Right. I mean, comprehensively beaten yesterday, Carefree. And I know you've been sort of give the manager time, give the manager time, give the manager time. Is his time running out for you?
Yep. Time was done for me by Southampton. And I know I've been pushing the whole patience bandwagon, but the manager has to show you something. Trust does have to be earned in a sense. And we've had a summer transfer window in January, and yet our team has gone backwards. I've seen us sell our only DM to Arsenal, which was one of the most boneheaded decisions I've seen. I see constant poor decisions with the starting lineup. In-game management makes no sense. And then Potter just comes out of nowhere and says, the boys gave everything, and then gives them 2 days off for losing to the team bottom of the league. Nothing looks like it's improving. The manager looks clueless. Looks like he's fried most of the time in most press conferences. I can't get behind that. I can't get behind it because, like, the fact that we play 1 game a week and there is no visible improvement in the team on a game-by-game basis. The fact against Southampton, we rested 2 of our best players in a must-win game with 2 wins in 14 at that point. That was a sackable offence in itself. Then he took off our only striker to put Mount up top. In this game, he brings Havertz back into the lineup, even though Fofana had a good game against Southampton. Takes Fofana completely out of the squad. Is not even on the bench. Rests Badiashile, who's been our best centre-back, our second best centre-back, all to put Koulibaly back in, who, to be fair, didn't have a bad game, but it doesn't make sense doing that to Badiashile and probably kills his confidence. puts Ziyech on the right, even though the guy literally doesn't want to be here. Then the in-game management during the match, we're 1-0 down. We have Mudryk, Madueke, and Aubameyang on the bench. He brings on Mount. He brings on Mount and Zakaria when we're 1-0 down. Like, that's going to change anything. And then he doesn't bring on Aubameyang and Mudryk until the second goal goes in. And then he brings them on with 10 minutes left to try and pull back 2 goals, or preferably 3, because we haven't won a game in like how long? About 6-7 games. Constant poor decisions, constant poor in-game management. We're facing the likes of Southampton, Spurs side, who, to be honest, when we're half serious, we would still be beating, and we're losing literally everywhere we go. And then they're saying, give him 2 more games. Like, 2 games for what? So we can lose to Leeds and then Villa just draw a game and then go above us and then we're 11th, or wait till the Dortmund game for us to get knocked out of our only competition that we realistically have a chance of winning, even though we're not going to win it anyway. And then we're going to sack him and then say it was justified for that. Like, no, for the first time, he's actually united the fan base, because now everybody's just united in wanting this guy out. Get rid of him while there's still a season to salvage, because this is the winnable run of games for us. From April onwards, we go to Old Trafford, we go to the Emirates. Our last away game is at the Etihad. Our last home game is against Newcastle. If we can't win these games right now against teams that are around us, the likes of Villa, the likes of Everton, if we can't beat them and they creep up on us, and then we're facing teams above us that we haven't beaten this season anyway, we're getting dragged into a relegation fight under this guy. That's how bad it's going to get. So they need to make a decision now. I've got no issues with Bowley or the board or the infrastructure, but just please do not let pride blind you in this situation. Accept that we got it wrong with Potter, get rid of him, bring in somebody that can steady the ship, and move on again next season.
Go on, George.
No, I was just gonna say, man, Lewis, how does it feel? It's been what, unbeaten this season we are against you guys? You ain't gonna win against Spurs this year,
bro. Everyone's unbeaten against us. Come on, that ain't a flex.
It's not a flex. No one's flexing nothing. As I said,
Southampton done the double over them.
Literally.
Pardon?
Southampton done the double
over us. They're bottom.
No, it was easy business. Like you said, I don't feel like anyone really thought you guys were going to come away with this game. Like you said, prior to the game, there's still no change for Potter. It still looks like he's still trying to figure it out. And all these months on, how could he still be trying to figure out? He's had new players. He's had everything given to him. Whatever he wants, they've put in front of him, and he still can't get it right against. Let's be honest, this is a Spurs team that's not consistent, as everyone realizes. This is a Spurs team that just lost last week to one of the worst AC Milan sides I've seen in my life, like horrible. And we go out there and do the business. Oli Skip, big goal, big game. Oof. Come on, man. I know you love that strike.
Case.
I know you love that strike going in. We got a new man from England coming up, and yeah, man, Kane doing
straight off of Graham Potter halftime team talk, by the way.
Well, I don't think you realise Tottenham are second half FC, and we proved it yet again. We come out the second half.
We're 30-minute FC. We only turned up for 30 minutes, and then we dipped. Simple as.
No, Lewis, I was can I just butt in? I was gonna say one thing. I think you're being a little bit too harsh on Graham Potter, because the guy he's had about 26, 27 players chucked in at once, and then you're telling me he has to figure out his best lineup, his best players within what, 2-3 months? That's
not even that. Just have a discernible style of play. Make smart decisions in game. Don't come out after one of our worst performances of the season and just say the boys gave everything.
I know, but he's not trying to lose the dressing room right now.
Excuse after excuse. We went from not enough players with injuries to today hearing we have too many players. Make your mind up.
Okay, what's your objective this season? Because you're not going to get Champions League
40
football.
points.
You're not getting Champions League football. You're highly unlikely going to get Europa League football. So there's literally no reason to sack Graham Potter this season. This season's finished for you guys.
Bro,
you're not getting relegated. There's no way you're getting relegated.
I have looked through the fixture list from now till the end of the season about 15 times. I cannot tell you where 9 points comes from. I can't.
Oh, come on. I think
you're being
too reactionary. You're being too reactionary because
we have 2 wins in 17, my friends.
You'll win some games.
Reactionary about
I know,
that?
but we went through the same spell.
That's nearly half a season, bro.
Okay,
And we have
I remember
wins.
exactly. I was in the same shoes as you guys. Arsenal, when Arteta lost, like, I think he lost 9 games in a row, and then everyone was saying we're getting relegated. We can't find any wins. We can't win any games. Then we had Chelsea coming up, and I remember he made 2 changes. He put Smith Rowe, he put Martinelli, Saka on the right, and then we started winning games.
Right.
I think as soon as Graham Potter finds his best lineup, as soon as Graham Potter finds his best lineup, I know, but you've got to play. You'll win games. There's no way you're going to lose every single game until the end of the season. There's no
it's 2
chance.
wins in 17. I don't know where my
I can't lie. I
get
get why Lewis is worried.
Arteta changed things up. He decided to focus solely on the youth. They got him results and it worked. The one thing Potter did that worked at the start was that he kept to his back 5. Now suddenly he wants to play back 4 and we can't buy a win to save our lives. This guy is playing against himself.
Okay, who's out there right now? Who's out there right now as available that's going to come in Chelsea and then make them a better team?
Bro, at this point, I take you in charge. I'll be real with you. I don't rate Potter.
You know the thing is, I saw a tweet from, I don't know, it was a Chelsea fan, and he said, if Abramovich had been like this, we wouldn't have won the 2 Champions Leagues that we won. That's what the Chelsea fan said. That's on the basis of, remember, both of their Champions League wins came on the back of sacking a manager at the mid-season. If Abramovich had said, all right, let's wait till we get knocked out of the Champions League. Let's wait till all hope is lost, and then we make a change. Di Matteo wouldn't have won the Champions League in 2012, and Tuchel wouldn't have won the Champions League in 2020. Was it 2020? Yeah, I think it's 21.
Yeah, 21, but yeah.
21. So I'm not saying that if they change the manager now, they're going to win the Champions League. But giving him 1 game, effectively, because I think that's what it's coming down to. It's coming down to the Dortmund game. And if they get knocked out, they might pull the trigger. Giving him 1 game to save the season, for me, is it doesn't make sense, because then you're going to give him 2 more games, which is the quarterfinals, and then 2 more games, the semifinals. You're basically waiting until all hope is gone. Now, I'm not saying whether he should be sacked or not. If he is sacked, he deserves it. If he keeps his job, he's fortunate. Some managers get fortunate. Arteta was fortunate that he didn't get sacked at any point throughout that the terrible run, and now he come out good on the other side. Potter may not be so fortunate in that period, and he can't complain either way. But what is clear is that the man is out of his depth. As it stands, he's out of his depth. When he's referencing Arteta, who won a trophy in his first season, so I guess he's pulling on a hope of winning a trophy this year, the Champions League, of course. He's then referencing Klopp, Klopp's history at Liverpool to be, people saying Klopp out now. His history at Liverpool stands to protect him from a lot of the he's getting now. But if we just look at the Liverpool factor alone, it might be crazy to say, oh, how can you say Klopp out based on what he's done so far? What have you done so far? Anyone can say Potter out because you haven't done anything at Chelsea or anywhere else realistically to protect you from the naysayers. So when he starts reaching and clutching and effectively kind of throwing other managers under the bus to save yourself, I think you're out of your depth at that point.
He just looks so lost at times. He really should have just had another step after Brighton, because right now it looks like what a mid-table manager at a top 4 club. He's not grown. He's not adapted to the situation. The pressure's got to him. How's he sitting there you're 2-0 down in a derby, and he's just sitting on his bench like this, watching it all unfold while he's got attacking players on the bench? But no, Mason Mount's going to be the solution. Dennis Sicardi's going to be the solution. This has been a situation all season long. And yes, there have been cases in the past where managers have done bad, but then they come through on the other side and they thrive and they do well. But what about if it doesn't work out that way and he just keeps on bringing them down and down? Because when I'm watching this Potter team, the difference with Arteta's side, they at least have moments where I was sitting there going, right, that's what he wants to do. That's the style of play. That's what he can do with better players. Right now, Chelsea's attack for me consists of the most awful passing out of the back. It goes to the left back, who then gets pressed by 3 people, who then boots it long and they give the ball away. And if they somehow retain the ball, they potentially get an attack going. It's just shot. I don't get what Chelsea are trying to do. And the only reason they will keep him on is because they spent too much money on him. they're not going to sack him because it cost like
Yeah.
it cost them like 80 million to get him in or whatever it was. It cost 80 million to sack him.
Do you know what I think? Do you know what I think as well? I understand why Arsenal fans predominantly sort of stick with him. Look what Arteta did. But there's kind of two things I'd say to that. One, Arteta won an FA Cup in his first year, which I think helped keep him at the club. And you also tell us that Arteta is world class. He was an anomaly. He's different from other managers. He's going to go on to become a great. My question is to Arsenal fans defending Potter. Do you think Graham Potter's going to go on to be a great? Do you think he's an anomaly? Do you think he's someone that could turn it round? Fergie at Man United was under a lot of pressure and went through a situation where people in the media thought he was going to get sacked. But we've got to remember that was 3 or 4 years in where we'd actually come second in a league title race prior to that. And he was building something behind the scenes in terms of reinvigorating United's youth system that had fallen away throughout the 70s and early 80s. So the club knew there was something else going on that was being built for the future, not just the results on the pitch in the here and now. I don't know if Graham Potter's got that. And listen, can they go on to win the Champions League from this point? Most people would say no, but in what's his name? Di Matteo's year and in Tuchel's year, if you'd have said to everybody midway through those seasons, could Chelsea win the Champions League? You'd have been told absolutely not. But what is salvageable is learning who should stay and who should go, creating some relationships and getting Chelsea fans and these players excited about next season. This, between now and the end of the season, should be a prolonged pre-season period where you work out your team, you work out your best players, you work out your formations. This guy chops and changes so much. It's becoming ridiculous. No one's getting a run of games. No one's creating any relationships. I was someone that a couple of weeks ago was supporting the idea. And after that Southampton game, I just thought to myself, if it wasn't for how bad, ironically, Southampton, Bournemouth, and a few others are, he could relegate them. They are that bad under him. They have no fight. They can't pass the ball. They can't score a goal. They can't stop conceding. That is a recipe for disaster. The only thing that will save Chelsea this season is either sacking him or the fact 3 or 4 other teams are just worse than they are. And that's not something you want to put on your CV. I kept Chelsea in the Premier League because there was 4 teams worse than me. He's awful. And listen, it's enjoyable seeing Chelsea fall. It's enjoyable seeing Chelsea foul as a rival. But if we're talking realistically here, the man has got to go. And there are available managers. Luis Enrique, Zidane, Flick, just to name 3.
Anyone.
To name 4 who are available. I'm just throwing some names out there that are available and better than Graham Potter. There are probably some interim managers that could come in and do a better job. Ironically, Ralph Rangnick's a better manager at the highest level. At least he won a few games for us. You know, this guy is absolutely terrible. A super chat here says March begins on Wednesday. Chelsea have 4 goals this year.
Big up João Felix, by the way. Automatic goal of the month winner for February.
He is. Chelsea had managers who did invincible. Conte. We had treble-winning managers, Mourinho. Bring the greatest manager of all time. He is Mourinho. He made every attacker have the best hit. Would you bring Mourinho back, Lewis?
Part 3, reload it. Last dance. I'm here. I'll take anyone. Anyone but Oli. Anyone but Oli.
I was going to say one thing. There's a difference between managing young players and managing established players. Arteta, for some reason, Arteta had Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard. He had young, hungry players. Graham Potter's coming in and he's got Aubameyang, he's got Koulibaly, he's got so many senior players. It's hard to motivate these players. He's
got Mudryk, he's got Badiashile, he's got Havertz, he's got Mount, he's got Fofana. He has young players. But
some of these players that you're naming, they've been at Chelsea for a period of time where they haven't really.
And he's already benching them. Mudryk and Madueke were on the bench against Spurs. Mudryk's been on the bench the last 2 games. Badiashile got benched for Spurs.
Do you expect them to
wasn't even in the
switch it on?
What you're trying to compare is a manager which Potter's been around for a while. Let's not act like Potter's new to the game. He might be new to big clubs, but he's been managing for a long time, more than enough. Arteta's just come on the game. You can't compare them. So Potter's had enough time to establish his team, put in the way that he wants to play, and he's not done it. You can't blame Chelsea fans for not wanting him.
I think you have to give him this season. You have to let him off this season. Give him pre-season, and then judge him next season. The first 10 games.
That'll be understandable. That would be understandable for Chelsea if they were like 7th or 8th.
I know what
they quite literally are the worst team on form in the league.
I know what you're doing, bro. I know what you're doing, bro. I'm sorry to say this. I know what you're doing, brother. I can see it, bro. You want them to keep part of a pre-season, so next year they're shit as well. Oh, I see your game.
I remember. Okay, I want to say one thing. I remember coming on here when we lost against Man City 5-0. I remember coming on here and then everyone was saying last season when we lost 5-0, we lost them 3 games in a row. Arteta needs to go. He's going nowhere. He's not improving these players. Graham Potter, give him time. Like you're Lewis, you're used to having managers every 3 weeks. I know you've had that all your life. You've had new managers. You want a new. You say
I've never been a manager out. I've never been a manager.
I'm talking about you're
This
used
is
to having
the
new
first time.
managers. This is the first time you've actually had a manager. And
But I'm used to
owners.
being patient with managers. This is the first manager where I'm like, I'm not being patient. You shit, leave. It's as simple as that. All this guy does is he sits there and he thinks, what did Arteta do? What did Arteta do? Oh wait, Oba, get out my club. That's all he does.
You gave. Okay, I want to say you gave Sarri more of a chance at Chelsea than Graham Potter. And
Sarri
Sarri
in 4 games, I knew what his philosophy was in about 4 games.
And where did he get you? Where did Sarri get you? You won the
third
Europa League.
Against you, man. Europa League and the 3rd highest clean sheets, even though we lost 6-0 to City.
But you're Chelsea, man. You're meant to win the Premier League and Champions League.
I'm just going to say this now.
I've never said this team was capable of top 4 anyway. That's why I was giving Potter time. Not top 10. We're not that bad. 2 wins in 17. We're not that bad. That's the
Next
manager.
season, your objective should be top 4. Give him next season.
Yeah, next season. Not under this manager, though.
I don't know, you know. I think when you spend how much Chelsea have spent, like objective, the ceiling, the objective, which is generally a ceiling, shouldn't be top 4. It's got to be Champions League qualifications, winning trophies. That's what all big clubs should be aiming for. In terms of the news article that come out today, and I just want to put this up for people to see, it reads very interesting from Matt Law because it says Chelsea's owners continue to back Graham Potter, but there is now a growing feeling that the next 2 games will make or break for him. It's not just the owner's faith that is being tested. We obviously know the fans are.
What?
For me,
what
when I
difference does the next 2 games make? We just lost to Southampton and Tottenham. We got 2 in 17.
And I think that leads perfectly into what Neek said. This is where your ownership now are showing big naivety in football, that letting him stay for a couple more, like the Glazers did this, terrible owners, by the way. They would let a manager stay. Generally, they didn't do it with Ollie, but they did it with Jose. They did it with LVG, Jose, and Ollie all got sacked once they couldn't. And Moyes, all got sacked when they couldn't make the top 4 anymore. When it became mathematically impossible, Jose was really far away, and it was toxic, and he had to go. But we were like 14 points away. It feels like that's what Todd Bowley and the group are doing, right? Well, if we're completely out of all the comps, then we'll sack him. For me, look, I agree with Lewis here. It's the season is for Chelsea is salvageable. Plus, they're a better manager than Potter available now. This could end up being a silver lining. You go and get Zidane. You go and get Luis Enrique. Doesn't matter if Potter's even doing a good job right now. They are still going to do a better job than him because they are better managers. It's as simple as that. It's a bit like with Arsenal. You guys have got Eddie Nketiah. He's good, right? He might go on to be brilliant. But if you could sign a world-class number 9 to replace him this summer or right now, you'd do it because you've always got to improve your team. And Chelsea have got to get rid of Potter and bring him in to improve it, in my opinion. We've got some super chats here I want to do. First one says, I want Mourinho 3.0. He will make us happy. The guy who did the treble, won everything. Bring him back, as in, obviously, Jose there. He will win a trophy even with Roma, except Spurs. Bring the GOAT back. This here says Chelsea won't be relegated. There are still 4 or 5 teams worse than them, in my opinion. I think we all agree with that.
We're 17th in the form table for the last 15 games.
Can you imagine if Chelsea went down? Oh,
people think I'm joking. No, I'm being serious. Like, we're in a relegation scrap if this guy stays in charge. It's not even a joke.
You're still in the top half of the table. You're not bottom half.
You're going to get relegated.
Yeah, because of Tuchel's wins. If it weren't for the wins we got under Tuchel, we'd be in the relegation zone.
No difference, Dawood.
That is actually crazy. We've got some other super chats that are not related to Chelsea. We'll bring them on. We'll put them up a little bit later. We've got one about which top 6 club you hate the most. We've got one about Lissandro Martinez as well. We will go into those a little bit later in the show. I want to give a big shout out to our title sponsors of the Football Terrace tonight. That is Manscaped. You can, of course, get 20% discount using my promo code TFT, the Football Terrace 20, off of all of their products, from their Lawnmower 4.0 to their brilliant smelling aftershave and cologne. They've got shower gel, moisturizer now, and much, much more. Go and check out their website. The link and all the information is in our description or pinned into the live comment section. And trust me, gentlemen, whether it's your girlfriend, your boyfriend, or, you know, whatever your preference may be, take care of your nether region. Make sure it smells good. Make sure it's clean. Make sure it ain't dirty. Manscaped is the best way to do it as well. Because honestly, your partner might not say anything, but trust me, they hate it. If you're hairy, they hate it. 110%. Plus, for some of you, and I know Tom Little gave me this feedback, it definitely makes you look bigger. So go sort it out. Go get it done right now with Manscaped. Go and get that done. Sorry, Tom. I shouldn't have told him that, should I? I thought we were live. We were recording, Tom. Sorry, my old friend. Tuchel's swap trade championship manager is what Adam Lowe has got to say here. I mean, can you imagine if Chelsea actually in the championship? It's going to be hard for me now. It means I've got to watch 2 leagues to do the top 6 show. It's
well, my channel's in the mud if we make the championship.
Would they qualify for the top 6 show? Would you?
No, do you know what? I would keep Chelsea in it. I want to keep Chelsea in it because I want to get an update from Lewis.
Championship watch.
Yeah. How they did away at Plymouth and whoever else in that league. I got no idea, but there we go. It'll be amazing.
Leighton Orient, hopefully.
Leighton Orient. But are they going to go up to League One? They're going to go up to League One.
West London derby of QPR's back. I look forward to that at least.
I know, exactly. West London derby. We're going to come back to the top 4 race a little bit later in the show. But yesterday, of course, there was a magnificent, beautiful, silver, sparkling trophy won by Manchester United. How you feeling, Neeks? How you feeling?
I'm feeling very good. There's a couple of shout outs I want to give until before I go into anything. First and foremost, shout out CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo, out there killing it in the Saudi League. If you're lucky, you might get a medal. We've got about 3 spare. So if Man United are feeling nice, we can send one over to you. But big up yourself anyway. Shout out Dubravka. Did us a good favor, coming on loan, playing 1 game, going back cup tied, and meant that Carrius could play in the final. We'll make sure we get that medal to you as well. Shout out Newcastle fans for winning the Trafalgar Square trophy. They really made a good scene out there with their flags and their bears and all of that, and obviously policing Man United fans about how they should support, how many fans, when they should get to Wembley, what time they should leave Wembley, what they should do with their scarves after. So shout out them. I was going to big up Leicester City for selling us Harry Maguire for 80 million because that was a great investment. You saw the contribution that he made in that final and lifting the trophy. But the biggest one, I want to shout out Spurs. Thank you for turning down Eric Ten Hag because, boy, you don't know. Maybe you do, but at the time, you didn't know what you missed out on because we have, and Jords is sitting forward now, we have a genius of a manager on our hands. And it couldn't have been but for Spurs missing out on him at a time when everyone said, it was the derby, the El Sacico, Conte, whoever loses get Conte, Nuno versus Oli, and we won the battle, but Spurs won the war. No, we won the war because we got Eric Ten Hag, who I called in August the best bald manager in the league. Scrap that. The best bald manager in the world. And in 6 months, or 10 months, Eric 10 months you might call him because obviously we signed him in April. Eric 10 months. In 10 months, he's already showed how good he is, how potentially great he can be. In a time when some fans are telling us, we need 2-3 years for a rebuild. Look what Arteta's done. It's going to take that long. It's not going to take that long. We're a different kettle of fish. And there's a lot of fans who need to realize we are a different kettle of fish. And yes, it's just the Carabao Cup, but it's a trophy. Because I remember in 2006 and I remember in 2009 when we won those Carabao Cups and we had world-class players like Rio, Rooney, big up Anderson, celebrating winning the Carabao Cup. And nobody could police them. So how can you police Casemiro about being happy about Carabao Cup? How can you police Varane about being happy about Carabao Cup? How can you police World Cup winning Lisandro Martinez about being happy and celebrating winning the Carabao Cup? We have won the Carabao Cup. We have won the first trophy available under Eric Ten Hag. And as far as I'm concerned, this is only the start. There's so much more to come from this manager. And the rest of, as Terry would like to put it, The rest of you lot are scared. You're frightened about Manchester United coming back because we ruined your childhood and now we're about to ruin your adulthood. I'm sorry for you lot, man. But for me, Man United, I'm happy. And all Man United fans, don't let them get you down. Carabao Cup or no Carabao Cup, we're on our way. We are on our way.
I felt that line about childhood as well. Yeah, that resonated a lot.
Do you know what, Neeks? I think for me, like I saw a lot of that in the build-up, and I didn't actually like snap back at any Newcastle fans. One, it's the first time they've been to Wembley since 1999. I saw the way they were like, you've got to celebrate like this. It matters more to us. I even saw a video that went viral afterwards. The United fans, by the way, we stayed in the stadium for like an hour after the game celebrating, and they were in the queue to get into the tube station. And there's all these videos going, oh my God, they just won a trophy and there's no noise from them. And it's like, listen, without being arrogant, it was so important to win this trophy, to end the 5-season drought that would have become 6 at the end of this year. Very important to end it. Man United fans believe, and I don't need any validation. I'm not going to chase validation like some supporters have done all year. I don't need anybody to tell me my club's improving and we're moving back towards winning Premier League titles, because I believe that we are. But also, as Man United fans, it's cool. Wednesday, though, we've got a big game against West Ham. The Carabao Cup, we've won it a number of times in the season, and we treat it the same way. We celebrate in the moment. 24 to 48 hours later, that's it. It's done now. It's put to the back of our minds, and we focus on the next trophy, because we're still possibly going to win 2 more. Possibly going to win 2 more this year, and I'm just proud of the boys on a footballing front. Looking at us, so some players I want to shout out today that I probably didn't mention as much yesterday because I was so happy. Casemiro, of course, man of the match, best DM in the world, best midfield player this year in the Premier League without a shadow of a doubt. Not just for how good he is at his job. He's come up with important goals. He's been a leader, and he's elevated Manchester United to another level. Lissandro and Varane at the back, just listen, they've got the makings to go on to do brilliant things, as we saw with Vidic and Rio. I'm not saying they're as good. I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm just saying they've got the makings to go on and do something. They were brilliant for us yesterday. De Gea with a couple of important saves when needed. Bruno led us brilliantly yesterday. He really, really did. He was fantastic. AWB as a substitute came on and just look. So Maximum was cooking Delo in that first half. I was worried. AWB came on and shut him down. He did nothing for the remainder of the game. Rashford. It was delayed, but he got his goal in a final. And I was saying to KJ in the build-up, I want Rashford to get that goal in a final, because it's another box ticked that people are going to use to hang over his head. Well, what about goals in finals? He gets one today. He'll get more in the future. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Another good performance from him. But the one player I really want to shout out, Wout Weghorst. This guy is a loan signing who, I'm going to call it as it is. He's average. He's an average elite level football player. But the man's work rate, his desire, and his passion has carried him through. And I've spoken about this for years. Talent only takes you so far. Man United have had more talented players in our squad than him, but they didn't want it. They didn't want to be here. I'm going to call him out. Cavani, ample more talent, scored some good goals. But every time there was an international break and he went home, it took about 4 weeks to get back. Every single time, even before Ronaldo arrived, didn't really want to be here. Ronaldo didn't really want to be here. We've had loads of players like that. The last striker we had who actually wanted to be here was Zlatan, and he won 2 trophies in his first season. It was only a bad knee injury that took him away from us. I was so proud of Wout Weghorst, and he did something yesterday. Which there are certain world-class strikers who haven't done this yet. He played well in a final. He set up a goal in a final, and he won a winner's medal. And that will be remembered by Man United fans for a long, long time. Trophies mean more than anything else. And I was so proud of the boys. It's the beginning of a beautiful journey, I believe, under Erik ten Hag. And let's talk about the Glazers staying. There's a bit of scaremongering going on from a few content creators. Listen, second round of bids are going to go in the next week or so. The Qataris and Radcliffe, they're all waiting for the financials. So no one's had access to any of the books yet. The sale's going fine. Don't worry about it. But proud of the boys yesterday. Deserved to win. Best team in the tournament. I love the salt from the Mighty Keowns. Who did they play? Who did they knock out? Well, yeah, because all the better teams you're talking about got beat by the people we beat in the latter stages. Arsenal got knocked out by Brighton, who got beat by Charlton that we knocked out. It's not our fault. Your team went out 2 rounds earlier. You know, we knocked out. We beat Newcastle, who knocked out Southampton, who knocked out City. That's not our fault that they weren't good enough to get to that stage. The saltiness is amazing. I absolutely loved it. Seeing it over social media, the anger, the fury, we cheated, the goals were offside. That fear was back yesterday. I've been calling it all year. And as I predicted, it's why I've been very nice to Arsenal this year, because I wanted a little bit of credit in the bank to be able to defend my club in the same way. The same excuses started. In fact, you had Simon Jordan, who slagged Arsenal off all year. Today, basically saying, listen, Gooners, Man United fans are trying to make this season about them, but it's about you guys becoming title contenders and winning the league again. It's only a week ago he said you guys were going to flop and throw it away. Listen, they're just, honestly, it's been hilarious today. Proud of the boys, deservedly so, and we're going to go on to win more. Rivals, be scared.
Pick up Carrie's on. I thought Carrie's had a decent game.
Carrius did do. He made some good saves. He made some good saves.
Val Beckles nearly had a Wembley screamer if it wasn't for Carrius tipped over the bar. I want to say something quickly because, I don't want to throw too much shade on Spurs, because I think if we get Harry Kane in this side next year, we can do some big things. But they're going to want to keep him there. If they get top
congratulations on the Milk Cup. I'm sorry, but Harry Kane doesn't want that trophy. As much as you think how big it is, he doesn't want that. He's got.
That's fine, but you better make sure. You better make sure.
Wait. We can't hate on a player for having bigger and better things on his mind. The Carabao.
Wait.
As Terry said, you think about it for the 24, 48 hours, you celebrate, it's big, and then all of a sudden, no one cares about it.
That's because it's in the middle of the season.
You even forget. In 2-3 months, we're all going to forget who even won it because the trophy's that irrelevant. You can't tell us the last 5 winners because it's that irrelevant.
Yeah,
so again, you can speak for it where it is. For Eric Ten Hag, it's an amazing win. We can't take that away from him. For him to do it in his first season, well done. You cannot take that away from a manager to go out there and win a trophy. But let's not talk it up like it's a massive trophy, Neeks. Yeah. I know what you're doing here. I know you're trying to big it up like it's something big, but it is the Milk Cup. If you're taking it away from just like the impact of having a team, we all see that will be good. The actual meaning of the trophy and what it's going to do for you outside of that.
I'm going to say this about the trophy. I'm going to say this about the trophy. Like, I've seen your team win it twice in my lifetime, and Spurs fans celebrated that tremendously in terms of like parties in the street, DVDs, T-shirts. It's the most in your lifetime, because of your age. It's the 2 most famous moments that your club's had.
Jonathan Woodgate is a cult hero.
And I'm not taking anything away from you. And you should.
And guess what? No one talks about Jonathan.
And you should celebrate it. And you should celebrate it, right? And you should celebrate it. So in terms of the League Cup, of course, out of all 4 trophies that are possible to win each year, it is the smallest of those trophies. But I still want to win it, because I want my club at the time I die to have the most League Cups, FA Cups, Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues. That's the aim, to be the best club in the country, the most successful club in the country. So it's one of. My first is not quenched because of a League Cup. And by the way, I wouldn't expect Harry Kane's first to be quenched by a League Cup, because Bruno Fernandes, by the way, it's his 5th. People keep saying it's his first trophy. It's his 5th major trophy that he won yesterday. But he said it perfectly in the interview. I'm satisfied that I've got my first Man United trophy, but I want more. And I think the thing for Harry Kane is, I've said it before, he's a world-class footballer. There's no doubt about it. But what are these bigger things that he's aiming for? I'd love to know what he's at Spurs. What is he aiming for? I was going to ask
Jords, what's he aiming for? What's the big stuff?
I mean, we're still in trophies this season, are we not?
All right.
So his aim is very clear, to go out there and win the trophy.
The Champions League.
We're still in the FA Cup. We've got the 5th round to play on Wednesday against Sheffield away. Easy draw. It'll be done. We'll be in the quarterfinals next week, and then we can speak.
So you're.
It's quite obvious. Like we're aiming with Conte.
I get you say it's obvious. I'm looking for you to be really specific. Like, so you think you're going to win the FA Cup or the Champions League?
That's our aim, is to go out there and win the FA Cup. I don't know why everyone's smiling. I've said on this show pre-season, and this is why me and Terry had the bet about who would win a trophy first, because I said I think Tottenham are going to win a trophy this year. I said Tottenham are going to go out there and get the League Cup or FA Cup, because we need to get one of them to build on. Just like Man United now got the FA Cup, we're aiming League Cup. We're aiming for the FA Cup. That's what we're aiming for. We have been aiming for that all season. If we get top 4, whether we don't get top 4, an FA Cup's going to be a success for us, and that's what we aim for. And that's what we want. So we're going to go out there and try and get the trophy. Of course, there's a few more rounds to be played, so we can go round by round, but we're going through to the next round regardless.
The issue was, I'm not bothered about you saying you're going to win the FA Cup. My issue was you saying that Harry Kane wouldn't take a Carabao Cup. That would be like a homeless person saying,
They
"No,
won't be happy with
I
it.
don't want that meal because I want something better." You've got
Tom, you
nothing
live
to
in
build
Luton.
off anyway, so just take what you can get.
No, also, Tom,
Sorry. I think what's going on here. Sorry to interject. I think there's a delay, George. You're like delayed behind us. I think you're not. Okay. You're hearing us later. That's why. I think that's sometimes why we laugh. I asked you a question and it was silent for about 5 seconds. I think it's a literal delay. Listen, you guys could go on to win it, and it's absolutely fair. I think for me though, I look at a player like Harry Kane, and I thought about him yesterday when I saw Veldhorst looking at the trophy, the way he was staring into the crowd. My feeling was this. If you took around to Veldhorst now and said you could have scored a hat-trick in the final, but not won it, he'd go, nah, give me the trophy. I just think this is the thing with Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane's never won one, so he doesn't know. Oh, Jords ain't even here right now. Jords is back. Here we go. I kind of feel like with Harry Kane, he might sit there and talk about winning isn't everything. Trophies aren't the most important thing. I think once you've tried it, then you know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's a bit like your preference in life. I always remember my little brother saying, I don't know why you get so fixated on women, Terry. Said, wait until you've had a go. Do you know what I mean? Then it's like you understand why there's a fixation because it's lovely. They smell nice. They're soft skin and everything. Do you know what I mean? So now, I think once Harry Kane tastes the trophy, he'll get a hunger for it like never before. Do you know what I'm saying? But let's see what happens.
Spurs better win. Listen, Spurs better win the trophy this year. I mean, Kane might sign a contract if you get top 4 because he makes bad decisions in life, so I can't stop that. But if no, George, I'm being very, very serious. If Kane stays at Spurs and you don't win a trophy this year, and no one I say stay in terms of signing a new contract, because he might run it down to his last year, whatever. It's a bad decision because what you're actually signing up to, you're signing up to score goals. You can score goals anywhere. Or you want to break the Premier League record? We'll sign for another Premier League club. Like, let's be honest, the goals are great. I think Harry Kane is the best striker in the Premier League. I've said that before, after, during Haaland's great runs, whatever. But when all is said and done, when players' careers is all done and dusted, you want to have something to show for it, other than just golden boots, other than just a plaque of a record that may not last. Alan Shearer broke the record, and before he passes away, that record's going to be gone. So it no longer exists. Harry Kane, if you win a trophy, whatever that trophy is, of course there's different rankings, but if you win a trophy, that is there forever. So if Spurs don't win a trophy this year, or don't look like seriously actually challenging for, let's say, getting to another Champions League final, I think it would be a bad decision for him to sign a new contract. And I'm sure, surely as a Spurs, I get you're a Spurs fan, but surely you understand why I would say that's a bad decision.
100%. I'm not going to sit here and say I wouldn't understand. Like, signing a 6-year deal was probably a bad decision on his end. But again, like, this is the decision that he's got to make. I'm not Harry Kane, so I can't tell him whether it's a good idea to stay or not. But until the end of the season, like you said, we won't really know. You have to evaluate that at the end of the season because we don't know where Tottenham's going to end up right now. We don't know if Tottenham's going to have Conte still in at the end of the season. So there's a lot of variables, but I still think Harry Kane's going to stay. I think that he wants to win that trophy with Spurs because whether it's an FA Cup, Carabao Cup, or one of these little trophies, I think it will just mean more to him than if he won it at Spurs rather than any other club.
No,
that's what I think. I think that he's just going to keep going at Spurs until he wins a trophy.
That makes sense. What I will say is this: the Carabao Cup, it's the smallest trophy you can win in England, but I don't think it's small. Maybe if your team's won massive Champions Leagues, lots of Champions League, lots of Premier Leagues, it does feel a little bit smaller. But I think to a club Tottenham size, the Carabao Cup is gargantuan. It is.
Stop it. Because just like you said, the team that's won all those trophies, we've won all those trophies you spoke about, bar in the Champions League. And a League Cup is just not one that I personally, as a Tottenham fan, look up to winning. If we did win it, like you said, I'm going to celebrate it for the 24, 48 hours, but I ain't going to sit here and parade it for the next
couple Tottenham High
or years. I'm not going to sit here and parade it for the next year or two saying, oh, yeah, we won the Carabao Cup like Arsenal fans do with FA Cups. I'm not going to sit here and do that. And I'm pretty sure, Neeks, you aren't going to do it either. I don't think we're going to hear you talking about Carabao Cup over the next few years.
Well, listen, I already said that if, as it stands now, if we end the season with only the Carabao Cup, I'm not going to be like 10 arg out. No way. But I'll be slightly disappointed because of the position he's got us in. Like, obviously, our aim's always higher. Terry, I just wanted to say one thing quickly. I don't know. Obviously, you wanted to move on at one point. But I was having it was a little thought in my head earlier, and I actually put it into the group. And obviously, you mentioned Casemiro being the best. We said best midfielder in the league this year. best defensive midfielder. And I want to apologize to Casemiro actually for engaging in pathetic debates with Arsenal fans who dare compare Partey to him. Engaging in pathetic debates with Man City fans who dare compare Rodri to him. And anyone else who dared bring their person to compare to Casemiro. Casemiro, this is non-debatable, is the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League. Non-debate. He's the best defensive midfielder in the world, by the way. Non-debate. Like, that's not a debate. I'm going to go one step further. When we talk about Casemiro, you have to be talking about the best midfielder in the world. Full stop. Best, not just best defensive midfielder, best midfielder. That means you take the attacking midfielders, you take the box-to-box playmakers, D-line playmakers, and the defensive midfielders. Because who in the midfield position does their job, so attacking-wise, to the same level or greater than him defensively, and contributes to the other side of the game. So for him, it will be attacking. For an attacking midfielder, it will be, say, defensive, to the same level that he does. Now, for me, there's probably 2 or 3 that are in that category. I'll give you a Kevin De Bruyne. He ain't been the same this year. What he did in the World Cup, that's a stain. Like, come on, that was poor. Modric, you have to respect Modric. Have to respect Luka Modric. And I was speaking to some Real Madrid fans, and they were saying Toni Kroos has been better than Modric this year. But I'm not sure I would necessarily put Toni Kroos above Modric. But if he ain't the best midfielder in the world, he's definitely top 3. And we're talking overall midfielders. He has changed and impacted Manchester United in a way that I don't know if we got another midfielder in the summer, he could have done the same. I really don't. So for me, I'm not even engaging in debates about whether Casemiro is the best defensive midfielder in the Premier League, best defensive midfielder in the world. I'm talking midfielder, full stop. And if we're not having this discussion, then leave Casemiro out of your debates. The guy is world class.
I'm sorry, but you're waffling so much. You say Casemiro is the best defensive midfielder in the world. You say Eric Ten Hag is the best manager and the best ball manager in the world. Rashford is the best forward attacker in the world.
No, I didn't mention Rashford.
Okay. But I'm talking about Man United fans in general.
No, talk to me. Talk to me.
You guys think that Eric Ten Hag is the best thing since sliced bread. The guy is Rashford FC. This is not Eric Ten Hag masterclass. You should have been 2-0 down against Leicester City in the first half. The reason why you wasn't 2-0 down against it was because of David De Gea masterclass.
Hang on a minute. So if we're Rashford FC, what's the hair got to do with it?
Oh, 1 second. Rashford is the only guy that scores goals, clutch goals.
Hang on a minute. When we come back from behind to knock out Barcelona the other night, who scored the 2 gols?
I'm talking about in general. Most of the game. The reason why you beat Barcelona. The reason why you beat. Okay, 1 second.
You've actually done yourself straight away. We're only one-man team, but then you say we're only in this position because David De Gea is saving us. If Rashford don't score, nobody else will. But we just knocked out top of the league.
Okay, the reason why you beat Barcelona, you didn't. There's no Dembele, there's no Pedri, there's no Gavi. The 3 of their best players. Take Rashford, Casemiro, and Martinez out of Man United. You're not winning a single game.
Okay, so what about the first leg when we didn't have Sabitzer, we didn't have Lisandro Martinez, and Eric and Christian Eriksen, who's our mainstay midfielder this whole season's out injured.
You can't compare them with. They had Sergio Roberto playing left wing for them.
The first leg, they had Gavi and Pedri.
Again, so what about the first leg where we had more players missing than them and they didn't beat us then?
If I watched Man United, you guys. This is similar. You guys play more of a counter-attacking side. You're counter-attacking side. You don't dominate the ball as good as Arsenal, as good as Man City.
Right.
Casemiro would not start ahead of Rodri for Man City because he's not as good as Rodri on the ball. Than Rodri than Casemiro. Rodri is elite on the ball. Casemiro, he does more giving it to the player, giving it to Eriksen, giving it to Bruno. He's not Rodri. He's not.
All right. So if Rodri's better on the ball, does that make him better? Because when they faced up in the Champions League, who knocked who out? Who was the best player on the pitch in the Champions League final? Who has, like, this guy was one of the, and again, a lot of Real Madrid fans say this. He was consistently, like, every game, one of their best players on the pitch. He was never necessarily man the match, but you had Ronaldo, you had Modric, you had the match winners. But his level never drops like below a 7 out of 10, for example. So even if Rodri's better at him in the ball, he ain't better than him at tackling. He ain't better at him going forward. He's not more athletic than him. So yeah, that's one element that he's better on the ball. And maybe in a Pep system, it might not work. But does that mean he's not better? Like there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Man City are playing right now on a higher level. The challenge for the Premier League, the challenge for the Champions League. You guys right now are playing in the Carabao Cup, Mickey Mouse. You're playing in the Europa League, another Mickey Mouse trophy. So there's a difference between with Casemiro and Rodri right now. Rodri is playing at a higher level than Casemiro right now because
dude, let me ask you a question. Who's the best football player in the world right now, in your opinion?
Kylian Mbappe.
So if Mbappe joined Man United today, because we're not challenging for the Premier League, would that stop Mbappe being the best player in the world?
Not necessarily.
So Casemiro, for what he's done at his whole career, the level he's been at, he moves to Man United, and we were in the pits when he joined us, and we've got ourselves to being a stone throw away from being in a title race. The latter stages of all the competitions, just won a trophy. He's been brilliant individually. You can't write off his overall ability and status.
I'm not writing him off.
But you just did, because you said Man United are overall not at City's level or Arsenal's. But City have had Pep Guardiola for 7 years, and you've had Mikel Arteta for over 3. We've had Casemiro and our manager for 9 months, and look how quickly we're catching everybody. To ignore that, so I don't mind that you don't think he's the best, but your argument is flawed. It doesn't make sense, because to nearly catch you in 9 months would suggest they're better. If I get a 60-meter head start against you in a 100-meter race, but by the time I cross the line, you're just behind me, you're a better runner than me. I just had a head start, right?
You guys have got right now in your team. If you look at your starting lineup, you've got proven players that have played for more than 5 years, more than 6 years. You got Varane, you got Casemiro, you got Rashford, you got Bruno, you got Eriksen. All these players, they're not new players. They've been playing at a high level for more than 5 years. You can't compare that with Arsenal, where they've had players. Odegaard, this is his second, third full season ever. Martinelli, brand new. Saka, brand new. There's a lot of players in Arsenal you cannot compare, because Man United should be winning right now with the players they've got. Not in the next 2-3 years.
I get
right
this
now.
narrative, and I've heard a lot of Arsenal fans do this, especially you TikTokers. So what you're trying to, I know what you're doing. It's like, right, how can we turn the fact that it looks like Ten Hag's rebuild is going to be much quicker than Arteta's? How do we discredit it? We say that the players are older, therefore it should be quicker. And there's an element of that that's true. But Man United have tried 3-4 rebuilds before that with established players that have had more than 2 or 3 years experience, and it didn't work. So it is still about the right manager, the right culture, the right players. Age clearly isn't a determining factor or catalyst, because with similar age profiles before, it's failed.
I don't think you realize, Terry, what he's trying to do is what a lot of Arsenal fans try and do. They're trying to hype up the opposition. They want to make you guys seem a lot better than what you are, and put the expectation that you guys need
they are. There's not
better. So that if they do potentially win the Premier League, they can say, we beat this Man United side. We beat this Chelsea side. We beat this City side. Whoever it is, you're going to try hype up the opposition. No one expected Man United to be this good. No one expected their rebuild to be this quick. And no one can say that. You simply can't sit there and say confidently you thought Man United were going to be in this position 6 months ago, because no one did.
Man United are not winning the Europa League. If Man United face up against Arsenal in the Europa League, Arsenal 1,000,000% winning.
And dudes, that's fair enough. But I think George pulled on a point there. If this rebuild is inconsequential because it should have happened because of the age profile, money spent, then people like you and many of there'd be countless Arsenal fans bringing up their clips from the beginning of the season when you made your predictions, saying they'll easily come 2nd or 3rd and win trophies because they'll get it done quickly. You guys were saying we were going to come 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and it was going to take years to catch you. You can't now change the narrative and say, actually, this is what we all expected, because you've got no proof it's what you expected because you didn't say it.
Okay, I want to say one more thing. Marcus Rashford, switching to Marcus Rashford, you cannot compare him to.
I love how you can't compare Rashford. Why? I just want to point out Rashford, by the way, this season in the Premier League, 34 goal contributions. By the way, he's only 3 now behind Haaland. 3 more goal contributions from Rashford. He becomes the most prolific attacker in world football, in top leagues I'm talking about here. But go on, carry on talking about Rashford.
Okay, that stat that you showed, the guy plays every single game. He plays every single Carabao game. He plays majority of Europa League games. He plays FA Cup games. He plays Premier League games. Bukayo Saka gets rested in these Mickey Mouse trophies.
I'm not hearing
Bukayo
that.
Saka hardly plays in
not get rested. He's rested twice this season. Stop it, man.
The guy plays every single game. Marcus Rashford, I'm sorry, you cannot compare him to someone like Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe can play for any team in the world. Mbappe can play for any team in the world and be the best player.
Mbappe is the best player in the world.
Marcus Rashford needs the right system. Marcus Rashford needs the right coach. Marcus Rashford needs he needs people around him be playing good. Rashford can't go to Chelsea right now and be the best player. Because he needs the right.
Hang on a minute, dude, you've done yourself. A minute ago, you said Man United are only about Rashford. It's Rashford FC. He carries you. Now you're saying we need great players around him to make him good. Which is it?
Because Rashford, if you know what I'm saying,
TikTok is struggling long format content. We can't be
You're
Rashford only.
digging yourself a hole,
How many years?
We cannot be Rashford only FC and he's carrying us. But equally, the team's really good and it carries Rashford. Which is it, bro?
You know, Saka's missed less games than Rashford this year as well. Saka's only not played in one game. Rashford's not played in two.
No, but 1 second. Bukayo Saka was our best player under Unai Emery. Bukayo Saka was one of our best players in the early times under Mikel Arteta. Bukayo Saka's been one of our best players. Marcus Rashford has been playing from 18 to 25 years old, and now he's just showing why he's one of those.
You can't say just showing. Don't do that.
I need to say this now. I need to say this now. When it comes to Saka, because you mentioned Mbappe, then you went straight into Saka, which is weird because I mentioned Saka's name.
He mentioned Saka. That's why I didn't mention Saka.
Let me just say this now. Bukayo Saka is top class, bordering on world class. I think he's sensational. I think he's a brilliant player. I don't slag him off because he's one of my boys. He's an English lad, plays for England. I'm not going to attack him. That's just my way. I think Rashford is the best winger in the world right now. Based on what I like, it's a personal preference. But me thinking that should not offend you as an Arsenal fan if you are comfortable with how good you think Saka is. It's a little bit like if a gay man, I'm not gay, but if a gay man asks me out on a date, I'm not going to freak out and get all weird and crazy because I'm comfortable with my sexuality. If you start panicking as a man in that situation, maybe you're hiding something. So for me, my question is to you dudes, like, why when Rashford gets praised, does your first thought go, I've got to defend Saka? Because if you're comfortable in your mind, if you're strong enough, you shouldn't need the validation from Man United fans, who are never going to do it, by the way, in a general sense, of praising Saka. Saka is amazing, but that doesn't mean that Rashford isn't the most in-form attacker in the world right now. And I've seen all the metrics that come out. Oh, Saka's got a better progressive passing, a better this, better that. I could probably spend 20 minutes now finding stats that Rashford is better at than Saka and go, right, but I'm going to make sure that those 10 stats are seen as the most crucial to being an attacker. Well, in fact, the two most crucial are how many goals do you create and how many goals do you score? Above and beyond everything else, that's what it comes down to. And I do get your argument that Rashford's 3 to 4 years older, he should be performing at a higher level. That's absolutely fair. There's no issue with that. But that no one's saying, like, Rashford shits on Saka, Saka's shit, he's crap. Maybe a dickhead on TikTok is, but we're not TikTok. Like, we ain't sitting there saying that, bruv.
Okay, once Rashford, what has he got? A year and a half left in his contract. He's going out of contract end of next season.
Yeah.
Let's see when Rashford gets Sancho's on what, like £330,000 a week or something?
No, Sancho's on £200,000 a week. Don't lie.
Rashford, if he gets a new contract, he's going to be on around £300,000 a week. Let's see how Rashford plays when he gets a new 5-year contract, 5-year spanking new contract. He's got all these bonuses, all these things. Right now, he's playing for a contract. What's happened? What's happened to Mohamed Salah? What's happened to Aubameyang?
What do you mean? What's happened to Mohamed Salah? Mohamed Salah's got second most goals out of any winger.
All these players have got brand new spanking contracts. As soon as they get this new contract, let's see how Rashford plays. Because I know he's playing for a new contract.
I've got to say that before I go to the
what you call work rate top 100%. Mount.
We're seriously sitting there.
At any point to bring.
We're seriously sitting there right now and trying to tell me.
You know what's crazy about it?
Salah, who's fell off.
Arsenal are top. Sorry, Arsenal are top of the league. You're having the best season in nearly 20 years. You're flying high, and in the space of like 20 minutes, you've contradicted yourself about Rashford being the star of the team to being carried by everybody else. You've contradicted United rebuild from being you're going to finish 8th because it's going to take you 3 or 4 years to saying we all predicted that you were going to be this good. Why are you so threatened? You individually, not Arsenal fans in general. Why are you so threatened by Man United?
I'm not threatened. It's all these United fans that think that they're watch out, we're back. we're back. What do you mean you're back? You want a Mickey Mouse trophy. If you win the treble, if you win the Europa League, FA Cup, and Carabao Cup, okay, you're back. You haven't won anything yet. As soon as you start winning major trophies, because Carabao Cup is not a major trophy, as soon as you start winning major trophies, because a lot of managers got top 4 for Man United. Finishing top 4 for Man United shouldn't be a hard thing, okay? Right now, you're not back. Don't get too excited. You should have won that Carabao Cup yesterday and said, okay, won the Carabao Cup. It's a Mickey Mouse trophy. Let's move on. Not all of this, we're back, we're this, we're that.
David, can I ask you a question? So you know that Arsenal, you won obviously the FA Cup a few years ago, but you haven't finished top 4 in 7 years. If you go trophyless this season, are you back or are you there? What are you guys?
We're performing at the highest level right now. Where we, I don't know. We are technically, we're performing at the highest level. If we win the Premier League, I swear to God, if we win the Premier League, this completely like no one can talk about us anymore. Spurs fans should never mention Arsenal.
No, but the question was, when you go trophyless this season, what do you define Arsenal as? What do you define your team as? Are you back? What are you guys? Because you haven't done anything in your words.
Just to say about I've got to bounce.
Yeah, I know you got to shoot. Cheers, Lou. Cheers, bro.
Take care, everyone. Love everything.
Thank you. Look, it's a great question. You're not going to get a straight answer. This guy is straight out of the out of the
no.
handbook. Bro, literally, do you know what you are? You do this. For Sam, I called him out for this yesterday in the group chat and the gal. You are Twitter with eyes and lungs, bro. It's just speaking them. I've got some super chats to do here. There's lots to get through here. First one says Lissandro Martinez has won 2 trophies in 3 months. Chelsea has only won 2 wins in 3 months, is what Kamal says here. That is peak. Once we're out of the Champions League, bring in Emma Hayes. Emma Hayes is a better manager than Graham Potter, I'm sure. Tuchel swap for a Championship manager. Already done that one. Thank you. Graham Potter must be related to Harry Potter because he thinks he's playing Quidditch rather than football. This here says the GOAT Mourinho has made every attacker have the best. Ronaldo, Kane, and also Chelsea best season was with the GOAT. Jose is the GOAT. He makes us every attacker look great. Even Man United, who won, get the GOAT. Disneyland Paris to Disneyland Wembley vibes is what Sammy says here. Don't kid yourselves. I'm not scared as an Arsenal fan, but we won the FA Cup after only 7 months when Arteta came in with an even worse team. I do get that, AMT, but if you look at what United are doing in the league at the same time, it is definitely different in my opinion. Terry, you are wrong. Casemiro was offside. I'm glad you believe that. I feel sorry that you feel that, but I'm definitely going to say onside. Shout out Eriksen's first trophy won in England. Absolutely. And by the way, if you put saying I shouldn't have used Eriksen being out as a comparison, he's not as good as Gavi or Pedri, but he's our second best midfielder. It doesn't matter how good he is in comparison. He's our best. Arsenal fan here. Ten Hag is amazing. It's the same rebuild as us, but I don't think he walked into a bad squad compared to Arsenal, and he was also backed last summer. Yeah, look, I get that he has some very good players, but there were players in the Arsenal team when Arteta came in who certain Arsenal fans, when Ozil was there and Aubameyang was there at the time, the vast majority of Arsenal fans raved about those players like they were absolutely the best in the world. They just didn't work out. This says Eric Ten Hag is good, but he's not Jose Mourinho. He will never win a treble, or he never made Ajax win the Champions League. Mourinho did with Porto and the treble with Inter, Porto, Chelsea, Inter, Madrid, and Chelsea, Man United, Roma. The greatness is back. A lot of Jose love here today. A lot of Jose love. Chelsea fans really want him back. When Jose Mourinho won a couple of trophies, I remember Man United fans didn't care. But
That's
you know
not
what?
True. It's not even true.
Yeah, it wasn't true, but the difference was as well, we weren't playing well in the league. And there was an element of we had to play better in the league. There was a difference in that. Tavin here says, why I don't have time for these histrionics and celebrations over the Carabao Cup. Arsenal gets slated for winning the irrelevant FA Cup. Allow it, Neeks. Big up the man, them. Love the content.
I mean, I'm just happy to win a trophy, man.
This is why I don't slag off anyone winning a trophy, and I praise it, because for me, like I did see a lot of United fans who I've seen in the past call it a Mickey Mouse trophy, celebrating it yesterday, and my thoughts are like, I couldn't look my children in the face being that much of a dickhead on the internet. I just couldn't do it. I feel sorry for them. Veghorst has more trophies than Kane. This is facts. I have never seen Mourinho lose a final. I have FA Cup final 2018. If he was Newcastle's manager yesterday, they would have won 1-0. Wilson goal. Name a final which Joe says lost. Yeah, Man United FA Cup against Chelsea in 2018. He lost that. Thank you, Abu, for the contribution. I appreciate it a lot. RK's back again. So the greatest midfielder of all time is Kante. France lost the World Cup because Kante was injured. It is Kante. He's the greatest. This says, come on, Casemiro is class, but best in the world, is what Akil says here. That's the Neek. Neek has made his points. P5, I think that's Partey 5, better all-round midfielder than Casemiro, barring CDM.
Forget it.
He is a CDM.
I told you I'm not debating Arsenal fans on it.
Yeah.
Casemiro deserves more than that. Sorry, bring me someone proper.
How low could Chelsea drop if the project fails in the next 3 to 4? I mean, if it keeps failing, they will get relegated. I mean, they'll just be awful if it keeps failing. That's what I would say. Man United fans, one game at a time. Also, Man United fans, our players and manager are the best in the world. Validate me. It's a fair challenge, Martin, to people online, definitely. Casemiro only breaks ups and intercepts. He can't control a game like Rodri and Partey. He is fat. After 80 minutes, he's tired. I am shameless salty today, is what's been said there. This is credit to Ten Hag, but comparing Teta's rebuild to his is disingenuous. Two completely different starting points financially and in terms of quality of players. This Arsenal fan is deluded, and I am an Arsenal fan. Listen, it's fair to say that you can't compare the rebuilds in terms. They're not going to be like for like. But equally, I'm going to defend Neeks here. When Neeks said in the summer, I don't want to copy Arsenal's rebuild, I want to do it the Man United way. Some Arsenal fans, Igal, got angry and said ours is the only way to do it. So I think that's what I would say about this. It doesn't make it better or worse if it's done in a quicker time. Who wins the most trophies in the next 5 to 6 years will dictate whose rebuild was the best. That is the only barometer that matters to elite level clubs, is trophies at the end of the day, in my opinion. Arsenal fan, Rashford over Saka, amazing player, but Rashford is wow. An Arsenal fan, they're backing Rashford over Saka. Rashford versus Saka is preference, no point in debating. I get that. Mbappe is the best winger. You need to score in a World Cup and World Cup final. Even if Rashford scores, he has to score in a final. The best player is Mbappe. It is, in fact, Mbappe makes France win the World Cup. Can Rashford make England win the World Cup? Stop your agenda. But I think if Rashford was French,
France lose that World Cup, though.
But didn't RK just say Kante is the reason France won it, and now it's Mbappe? Mbappe.
Mbappe won it. Maybe it was him. I've still got a few more of these, and we are going to move on a bit more to Arsenal. Sorry, this Arsenal fan doesn't represent us, by the way. Man straight out of Igal's school is what Mackenzie says here. As a Gooner, I want everyone at full strength, as I like the challenge. The concept of back is a multi-season question, is what Reggie Perry says. I get you there. On behalf of all Arsenal fans, I apologize for this Arsenal fan on the panel. I blame Terry. It's not my fault. I don't control what people say. Shout out to Arsenal's Champions Leagues. Oh, wait, is what Dyke says. Keep it real. Newcastle was cooking Man United in that game. Yeah, all them shots on target that we had to save, all that pepper in. Listen, I'll tell you what happened in that game. Erik Ten Hag wanted to counter against them. So what he did, he called them annoying and boring in the press conference, made them come out and attack, and we exploited it, and it worked. Because he knew we could stop them. He knew we could stop them, and we did. So, yeah, great, it worked. I would trade Potter for a Happy Meal right now. Oh, that's funny. I'm an Arsenal fan. You sound crazy. Let's give Man United their flowers this season. They have a good team, and let's give credit where credit is due. They deserve it. What I will say to that, Abdul, a lot of Arsenal fans have moaned all year to not being given credit for doing well, and their response is to not give credit to other teams that are doing well, but then they'll moan when they're treated that way themselves. Like, maybe break the cycle, and maybe you'll see your club treated with more respect. Like,
okay, just one of the super.
I know for TikTokers and Twitter people, that isn't how it works, though, is it? I mean, being salty and outrageous is the name of the game. Ab, this is here. What makes you think Man United will do it in a shorter time than Arsenal? Idiots. Well, I think the fact that Man United are back in the top 4 straight away, a handful of points behind Arsenal and City, they've won a trophy, looking good, growing, new owners coming in, more money is going to be spent. I think that's what people are having a good guess, I think, there. But speaking of Arsenal, they won again this weekend, boys. Comfortable win, not a big scoreline, but a comfortable win. How did you feel about that, dude? Like, do you feel the wobbles out the way now? You're going to get back on track, keep winning games, win that game in hand on Wednesday type thing?
After losing against Man City, the next 2 games, Villa away and Leicester away, we had to win those 2 games. There was a lot of Arsenal fans. I saw that clip of Igal and the other guy that were arguing each other, saying that Arsenal, like, that it's finished, we've bottled everything. A lot of Arsenal fans actually thought after that Man City game that it was all over. But the amount of times that this team has actually showed up this season with character, with performances, we have to believe them. There's no way that's why I believe that we've got a big percentage chance of us winning the league this season, because we've brought in characters, we've brought in players with personalities, and we've actually got quality in the team right now as well. The Leicester game, Aston Villa game, I think that can happen every week. That has to be once in a blue moon games. But the Leicester game, we showed why we are the best team in the Premier League this season. The way we performed, 1-0, but it wasn't like a tight 1-0 game. It was a comfortable 1-0 game. We should have been 2-3-0 up. Ramsdale didn't have to make a single save the whole game. Leicester, that's what I said before, they should have been 2-0 up against Man United when they had that many chances. We didn't give them a single chance. It's like game after game, we need to show that we're not going to leak any more goals. 1-0 wins, show character, show personality, because there's going to be a lot of games that we're going to struggle playing football. But if we get that 1-0 win, I think we've got a good chance of winning the league. Yeah. So I said it before. I said it like 2 years ago. There's a clip. 2 years ago, I said, with Arteta, with his man management, I believe we'll win the league in the next 2-3 years. There's a lot of us. That's why I said, that's why I don't agree with these super chatters when they say this guy's deluded. I said we're going to win the league a year ago. I said we're going to win the league in the next 2 years, 2-3 years. Everyone was laughing at me. Everyone was saying this guy deluded. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But if we win the league this year, I've proven a lot of Arsenal fans wrong, because this club, this identity, this manager, we're going to go a long way. Win the league this year. In the next 2 years, win the Champions League. And Arteta is going to prove why he's an elite coach. But that's it, yeah.
I was impressed with Arsenal. Obviously, Maddison being out is a big loss for Leicester. They're not very good right now, but Maddison's a good player for them. But to restrict them to, I think it came out at 0.01 xG. They had one shot that from range that went past, like, way past the post. I saw there was one. I think the clip's gone around on Twitter, but when I was watching it, Leicester had a break, and I was like, all right, they got a bit of a chance there. And before you knew it, just bare Arsenal man come from nowhere and just blocked up the whole area. I was like, right, these guys are on it. They're making sure that they get those wins, that the Aston Villa one you got later on, but the Leicester one, those are the wins that you have to, because you might go to Etihad and lose. It's possible. You might go to Liverpool and drop some points. Those big games, those results are 50-50 sometimes. But it's these games, the Leicesters, the Aston Villas, and your Everton midweek. Those are the ones that by hook or by crook you have to leave with 3 points. And the work that Arsenal put in away at Leicester. Leicester came to Old Trafford and they gave us some problems in the first 20 minutes. 90 minutes, Arsenal didn't have no problems. So I was like, you know what? Fair play. It's a boring game, a terrible game to watch. I only watched it for 90 minutes because at 1-0, there's a hope that Leicester might get an equaliser. But in reality, Leicester had no hope.
I was going to say, just shout out to VAR. Shout out to VAR that are trying to sabotage us from winning the league this season. Because I don't know how we did not get a penalty that game. I don't know how that goal for Trossard didn't stand.
No. So I think the Saka one I get. If you say it's a penalty, I get the argument. The Trossard one I think that was a good spot by VAR because he held it back. Like, remember, Ward actually punched the ball, but the fact that he couldn't get more distance on it was purely based on the fact that Ben White was holding him. But I agree. That the Saka one probably should have been given.
It happens every week. I remember when when Thingy scored against us, when Aston Villa scored against us at the Emirates, when I think it's Watkins and he was holding Ramsdale.
Yeah.
And then I think Douglas Luiz scored from a corner. he was holding him, but VAR didn't intervene then. But as soon as Ben White holds his gloves by a little bit, holding his gloves, that he's obstructing. Ward is a shocking keeper. If you shoot on Tiger, you've got a chance of scoring. And the way that they find little things, every goal we score, they look for every little thing to rule the goal out. So yeah, shout out to
VAR can't sit there though and say, "Oh, well, Danny Ward's a bit of a shit keeper, so we wasn't going to save it anyway. So let's just not count it."
They have to be consistent. If you're going to rule that out, every keeper that gets touched now until the end of the season, they have to give.
It's not about being touched, though, is it?
I think I reckon if there's goals now where a player, a defender, whoever it is, an attacker, the attacking player holds a goalkeeper's arm and stops him from jumping, I reckon I'll disallow it. I think Saka's penalty, at the time I thought no. I've watched the replay many more times since, and super slow-mo replays, and the more you hear about it, does change your mind a little bit. That, for me, looking back now, was a stone-cold penalty. But the question is, are these bad decisions? But you seem to think that, like, the FA or the referees have got an agenda to stop Arsenal. Like, do you really believe that, or are you saying it for attention?
1,000,000%, because we literally got a referee in Lee Mason sacked. Lee Mason is not a referee anymore because of what? Because of the decisions he made against us. Referees, I've realized it. Referees, it's not just me seeing my perspective. Referees have an agenda against us. They are trying so hard because if we win the league, this proves that like no one wants. Man City don't want us to win. Man United don't want us to win the league. Tottenham
basically, what they're saying, if they win the league, it's against all the odds. They beat the referees.
We beat the referees. We beat everyone.
And they beat VAR. Oh my god. Every time the odds are against us.
If we win the league, we need to do the tour bus from London all the way around the UK. Go around the whole UK. Go around every single city, and then we need to celebrate for 6 months straight because winning the league. I
can't say I've sat there and watched every Arsenal game fully in depth, this, that, and the other. But to say that VAR has had a campaign against you when we rocked up at the Emirates, the cameras didn't work for your first goal. Then we had a handball, which was deemed not a handball, but the next game they gave handball for the same thing. And then you got one of the dodgiest penalties I've seen because Thiago kicked someone. When you go look at it the other angle, he barely makes connection. But no, I'm sorry. Yep, you're right. The referees have a campaign against Arsenal. The league's against Arsenal. Yeah, you're spot on. I'm sorry. Yep.
Okay, but there's a difference between debating whether it's a foul or not a foul, and another thing where it's they purposely didn't do the line to an offside against Brentford.
Again,
that's a massive difference.
Yeah. So you think again? Remember though, there was another VAR the same day that drew the wrong line, had nothing to do with Arsenal or the title race. Is that not just incompetence, or do you think that Lee Mason? You believe that Lee Mason sat there and said, right, if I draw these lines, this goal's going to be disallowed, so I'm not going to draw them because I want Arsenal to lose points. Is that what you think?
If you're part of the VAR panel and then there's a goal, that you have to check if it's offside or not. If you don't check, you're not doing your job. So correct. Either he couldn't forget, because how can you forget not to do lines for an offside?
So my question is, I'd love a straight answer, please, Gal. Do you think that he purposely didn't do it to damage Arsenal, or did he just make a mistake and was incompetent?
For me, I'm going to have to say that the reason why he got sacked is because he purposely didn't put the lines on the line. And I'm being serious because you cannot make a mistake like that. You cannot make a mistake like that.
Don't you think that the Premier League would prefer Arsenal won the league over Man City, considering they're actually like taking Man City to court? Like, I think they've actually got something against Man City. Don't you think that they would rather Arsenal? Like, I don't see. It's not adding up. Something's not adding up to me. I'm not sure. What agenda do the Premier League have against Arsenal versus Man City? Explain. Help me out.
Because I don't know. It's something because if you look at the Premier League pundit on Sky Sports, he has always had an agenda against Arsenal. I've seen every single referee. Referee don't come out and say we're wrong. And every time to make a mistake, or Lee Mason got sacked for a reason. He didn't get sacked because he made a mistake. He got sacked because he got found out for for refereeing against Arsenal. They knew there must be some inside sources. How Webb must have knew that he did something wrong and he must have done it on purpose. So he got sacked off. There needs to be more. Yeah, that's 100% penalty.
Hang on a minute. So you're saying the pundit, the ex-referee, doesn't back Arsenal when these things happen?
No chance. He doesn't back Arsenal.
So hang on a minute. So hang on a minute. Just listen.
Backer from Harry Suter. Could Arsenal have had a penalty here? Was this not a clear and obvious error or not?
I think this is a foul, Rob. I know Suter will say he slipped,
seen this clip.
but I think
There's the guy that you. So listen. I'm not saying the referees don't, but that's the ex-referee Gallagher on Sky saying it should have been a penalty. So you can't say he
No, I know, but he's not doing his job if he says that's not a penalty, because then he'll know in public that he's against Arsenal.
But if if he's saying it in private, how do you know he's doing that? You must have seen it.
Conspiracy theories. This is what.
No.
There's apparently some league-wide conspiracy with every referee in the FA to try and stop Arsenal in the league. That's what you're saying.
You know what it is? I'll do my research. I'll get hard proof evidence that these referees are against us. Because right now you won't believe me because it's.
If you find that, just show us the aliens are real too. Man.
The way I think they've made some bad decisions against you. I just don't believe there's a conspiracy against you. The reason I'm saying it is this. So answer me this question: for every conspiracy theory ever, what's the end goal? And I don't just want to hear they don't want Arsenal winning it. I don't want the what. I want the why. Why don't they want you winning it?
That is a big question.
See, for you not to make it for Arsenal fans to make this conspiracy theory stick online, you've got to go beyond what. You've got to go beyond how. You've got to go to the why. There has to be a why behind why they're doing it. There has to be when people say United only win because Fergie pays the refs, that kind of gives you, okay, I get it. We're only winning because he's paying the refs and he's paying the refs so we win. And the refs are doing it because they're getting a financial boost out of it. That makes sense. It's not true, but it makes sense. I don't understand why you think they're against you. I can't get it.
Okay, another big factor, Mikel Arteta. These referees hate Mikel Arteta. They absolutely hate him. And they come out and say, because every manager since beginning of time has come out of the touchline, has shouted at the referee, but as soon as Mikel Arteta starts doing that, it's all over Sky Sports, Talksport talking about it, it's on BT Sport. Arteta needs to. I remember when Arteta, he literally just said, why isn't Luke Shaw not getting booked for the foul on Saka? He literally said, why isn't he getting booked? Referee comes and gives him the yellow card straight away. He didn't even move that much out of his touchline.
I get that. And I get that. So the comment it says, because we're first, Terry, what the F? Yeah, but Arsenal fans said there was a conspiracy when you were 8th. So
another thing is, Arteta,
and that's why I want to. So I don't think it's about you just being first. If it exists, it's not because you're just first. It's been going on now for 3 years. And I just want to understand. I'm always open to changing my mind about anything, but I have to understand the whys. There's some super chats that have come in here. This is new conspiracy. Terry brings on delusional Arsenal fans that disrespect their fan base. Really wish you'd talk about the defensive performance instead. I mean, he's free to bring on what he wants. Let me go through super chats here. When are you going to invite a good spokesperson on for Arsenal?
One second. Let me just say, because we've had a lot of Arsenal fans on this channel, and if you say when you're going to bring on a good one, maybe the majority of Arsenal fans are deluded. That's the conclusion I've got to.
As an Arsenal fan, I hate fans like this fan who say they have an agenda against us. It evens out in the end. If that was the case, then we would wouldn't have had a penalty given against us. We would have penalties given against us always, which is true. I think VAR and referees bias does exist, not just against Arsenal. It's for every team, and it varies. They are humans after all. Yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that there is biases and, well, this fan base are horrible to me, so I'm more inclined to not help them. But I don't think it's a national agenda where they have meetings about it and pray.
Can you explain to me why Pep and Klopp and Conte were never getting booked for coming out of the touchline? As soon as Arteta does it, it's a big thing all over social media.
Klopp got sent off for it this season.
I know, but I'm talking about over the past 5 years. Past 5 years, this was never a thing. As soon as Arteta starts doing it,
because they don't do it constantly. They don't.
Pep Guardiola doesn't do it constantly. I've seen Pep Guardiola kick a water bottle. I've seen Pep Guardiola run down I've seen Pep Guardiola do so many things. It's not like they've been sat on their chairs. They've been doing it for how many years?
James here says referees have no agenda against Arsenal. It's just bad officiating. That's what I agree with, James. I agree with you completely. Tavin here says, what I can't stand is what I don't like, that the 5 games we've dropped points in have all had apologies from refs. I don't blame refs, but this is jarring. By the way, Gabriel's handball came off his chest, is what Tavin says here. And look, I do think there's some bad decisions that have gone against Arsenal this year, but I'm more asking around, is there a conspiracy? Oh, by the way, IDTS doesn't mean idiots. It means I don't think so. Yeah, I'm old. I don't know all these things. But thank you. Maybe they hate Arsenal because the fans are insufferable, is what Oba says here. This Arsenal balance. Do you believe the world is flat, dude?
No chance. What the heck?
You don't believe that? You were in a good position. I mean, Nick's already pulled it. The defensive performance from Arsenal.
Yeah.
Again, how quickly you got back into shape, how you broke things down. My question I want to throw out to the panel before we speak to dudes again is, what should they do, Nicks? Stick with Jorginho or bring Partey back into this team?
Oh, Partey has to come back. I know I compare, the discussion was about one Brazilian, not this Brazilian Italian. Like, Partey is better than him. He's been brilliant for this season. Listen, Jorginho's there for a job. He's come in, he's going to be a backup. I would never say he's going to replace Partey, but you're going to have to rotate in different competitions. You got Europa League restarting soon, for example. But Partey, for me, as long as Partey is fit, he has to start. At times, they may even start both of them. Maybe Xhaka gets a rest and you play both of them. But as far as, for me, as long as Partey is fit, he starts. And that gives Arsenal the best chance to win the Premier League.
Anyone else see anything different there? Because obviously, like, Jorginho has done brilliantly, but I mean, if they don't bring him back in, it maybe answers the Casemiro Partey debate. Do you know what I mean? If Jorginho starts, but I get a little feeling that maybe because Mikel Arteta has always wanted Jorginho. He loves a player like Jorginho. I've got a feeling he might use them both.
I think Xhaka could go for a little bit onto the bench, and maybe he tries to incorporate Thomas Partey into a little bit more of a different role and keep Jorginho on what he's doing now, because I think Jorginho and Partey would be a fantastic double pivot. I think that double pivot would have everything that you'd need for a top-level Premier League pivot. I understand what Granit Xhaka's role is. It's, make them late runs, be a threat in the final third, and I get that. But I don't think he's necessarily been as good at that recently as he was at the start of the season. So maybe he could do with a couple of games on the bench, see how Partey and Jorginho work together, and then worst case, they don't work together, you just bring Xhaka back in.
Hey guys, I've got to jump out, but good show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Next year for your trophy party.
Yeah. Appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I think that, look, it's going to be an intriguing one. You've also got the Nketiah and Trossard situation, because Trossard came in, looked really good. Like, Nketiah, listen, I think he did really well in the first maybe 4 weeks when Jesus went out injured. But now, I don't know. I think Trossard needs a run. I think Nketiah needs some time on that bench, and Trossard needs a run. He looked really good. I mean, Arsenal weren't at their best attacking-wise in this game, but you've got Jesus coming back soon. I think you've got to utilise Trossard coming in, who's fresh and hungry. And I think Eddie just needs to ride that bench a bit. What are you saying?
With Eddie Nketiah at the beginning, every time he was playing, he was scoring. And then now he's gone through, I think he hasn't scored since that Man United game. And then with Eddie, he doesn't offer too much when it comes to his overall play if he doesn't score. So now he's not scoring. Now he's going through a patch. He's not scoring games. Arteta's seen that. Moving Trossard through the middle and Martin in the left, where they can either swap around as well. So because Trossard can go on the left, Martin go through the middle. With Eddie Nketiah, he can't really necessarily go on the left that much. So he's more of like a number 9, getting in the box. So yeah, having him on the bench for the next couple of games, because we've got Everton coming up next, Everton, and then after that we've got who do we have after on the weekend after that? I completely forgot. But we've got 2 easy games coming up. So with Eddie, needs a couple of weeks rest. Play Trossard, play Martinelli, play Saka. Saka plays every single game, man. I don't know how this guy's not injured. Doesn't get injured, man. This guy plays every single week. But attacking wise, we look solid. We've got Jesus coming back. There's rumors that he's back in training. I'd probably wouldn't play him for the next couple of weeks because ACLs and they're hard to come back from. So if we get him back, our attack's looking crazy. As I'm just so happy with the depth that we've got. Smith Rowe's yet to come back. Smith Rowe, Kowariel, and someone else. They're playing for the under-20s right now. So they're trying to get match fitness. And also talking about Jorginho and Partey playing as a pivot, Arteta usually has played a 4-3-3. So he usually just plays 1-6. He doesn't play 2 6s. So if Xhaka's going to get a rest, he's probably either going to play Vieira, Smith Rowe, or them two necessarily. So I don't see Xhaka. I don't see Jorginho and Partey playing, because if one of them gets injured or both of them get injured in the same game, then we're absolutely messed. So you're either going to play Jorginho or Partey in every game. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, your next few games are so winnable. You kind of look at them and you should be picking up anywhere between sort of 12 to 15 points in your next 5 games, and maintaining that 5-point lead at the top. And I think that's what's going to make it hard for City. Noz has pointed something out here, though. You said that Saka doesn't play all the games.
He does. I say he does play all the games.
Yeah, and earlier he was saying that Rashford's only doing better than him because Saka's rested for a lot of the games.
No, but I'm talking about content. I'm talking about Premier League games.
Remember, the football test community is always gonna test you. Neto here says, "Could I join on the show as an Arsenal fan? But to be honest, if I were ever a coach, Jorginho with more mobility and defensive qualities would be my perfect DM." I think he's pretty. Everyone knows I rate him, so I've not been surprised by how good he has been. I think there is a way of incorporating him and Partey into the same team. Winter Surfer here says, now I know there's a tinfoil shortage at Arsenal, is what he says here. Warren says, on behalf of everyone on this show today, I apologize. I promise he doesn't represent all of us, as in Arsenal fans. I know Neeks is doubtful, but I promise. But we're all done. We've all done to United.
Arsenal fans always say that when if there's an Arsenal fan who is very out there or whatever it might be, and they make bold predictions or whatever, they don't represent us. But I've grown up with Arsenal fans. You are all the same under the surface. Some of you are just don't. Some of you don't want to put it out there and don't want to send the chat.
There's a difference between being deluded and actually being optimistic about your team. We're very optimistic. We know what we're capable of, and we don't talk as much trash as you guys as United fans. So that's the difference.
Look, I think all fan bases talk trash. We all do it. Every single one of us do it. We all talk. I typically would do it after my team wins something. I very rarely give it the big. A lot of Man United fans have told me they don't like watching me in the build up to games because I don't gas us up enough, and that's because I don't believe in tempting fate. That's just me as an individual. We had 1 minute of injury time to go yesterday, and I wouldn't sit there and say we'd won it. I had to wait for that final whistle for me to relax. I'm really, really bad when it comes to my team. But I think it's more the conspiracy theory stuff, dudes. And when a lot of Arsenal fans are doing this online at the moment, it's almost we've got to find a way of shitting on Rashford, and you end up or shitting on the rebuild. And I think there's banter, but then there's also trying to validate your own players or your own rebuild to make sure that it's seen in a better way. Personally, as a Man United fan, I don't need to do that because the way I review it in the end, and it's again, you can think that dribble succession rate and expected goals and assists and how good your passes penetrate the back lines. You could look at those outputs and statistics and say that makes a better winger. I look at it and go, the one at the end of the day who scores the most, creates the most, and wins the most trophies, that's the person at the end of the day that I'm going to say is the better footballer. If you get where I'm coming from, I don't need all those other things. And if Saka, by the way, ends up scoring more and creating more and winning more than Rashford, you will never see me turn around and say Rashford's better. I'll just admit to it because I stand by my principles. That's the way I do it. But there we go. But Neeks, I grew up on the rivalry too, and let's be honest, both our fan bases have been as bad as each other.
Potentially, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, but
this here says Saka plays mainly Prem and rotated out for Cup and Europa.
But Terry, because this has been a debate that's happened all throughout the stream. You do realize Marcus Rashford has been benched more in the Europa League than Saka has.
Yeah,
he's been benched more in the Premier League than Saka has, but he doesn't play. Saka is not getting the great praise thing because he doesn't play enough. I think Rashford only started one group game all Europa League campaign, and Saka started 2.
I can check here. Rashford was injured for the first 2. Hart came on at half-time in 2 and played 90 minutes. Though ironically, the game he played 90 minutes and he didn't score in. and that was it. Yeah, the rest were all from the bench. In the FA Cup, he started both. To be fair, but Saka,
we're still in it. Like we're still in it. We're still in it.
And Saka started the third round game and got taken off. In the League Cup, he started he started the game against Aston Villa, but that was because he weren't playing in the Prem. Started against Burnley, on the bench against Charlton, on the bench in the second game against Forest, and he started the final. So that kind of 50-50 in that. But yeah, look, it's a lie that Rashford has started every single game in every single competition. It just isn't true.
Yeah, I know. But another thing is, okay, I was going to say
go on.
But Bukayo Saka plays the whole game of every single Premier League game. He doesn't go off after 80 minutes, after 85 minutes. He plays 90 plus every single game. Bro, I can't remember the last time. I can't remember the last time Saka. It's quite a while. So I can't remember quite a while ago that Saka got taken off.
Maybe.
After 80 minutes.
I'm throwing this out there as a theory. Maybe we're not as much as a one-man team as you think if we are able to take off Saka. And it's Arsenal's who's the one-man team that have to keep on Saka.
No.
Maybe it's a theory. I'm just wondering. Musing over in the evening.
Because you guys can admit it. Rashford's goal-to-game ratio is absolutely bonkers. I don't think he won't be able to do it every season. What he's going through right now is probably he's going to be his best goal-to-game ratio that he'll ever have. This guy is scoring 1 or 2 goals every game.
So do you know what I think though? See the run he's been on since Christmas or since the return of the World Cup. I don't know if I don't think he'll score like that forever. But he started the season slowly as he was rebuilding his confidence. I think what you'll see is a similar seasons to this amount of GA because he's done it before mid-30s. I think by the end of this season, he could be mid-40s. I think he can do the next 4 or 5 years on the bounce. He could get 40 to 50 GA, but it'll just be spread over the whole season rather than being isolated to where it is now. He's in a great run of form. And why do I think that? Because he's hit this level of GA 3 times in the last 4 seasons. So people acting like Rashford's just doing it now are ignoring what he was doing prior, by the way, in a worse performing team with a worse manager and worse players around him. So this notion that he's only doing it now because Casemiro's in the team, well, he was doing this before, younger as well, by the way. So it isn't true. This, barring last season where he had a terrible year, every year from his debut, his outputs got better every single year. So he's had one dip year in his whole career, and suddenly people are using that as the data point to go, yeah, well, he ain't normally this good. It's a nonsense.
All I'm saying is he's playing for a new contract. As soon as he gets that new contract, all Rashford.
Yo, I don't normally interrupt these shows, yeah. But my brother, you say Rashford is playing for a new contract, but why are Arsenal fans crying about Saka's contract? Why is he not playing for a contract? He's
because Saka's said from day one. Saka said from day one that he's staying. He's not going.
He's playing for a new contract. Watch what happens to Saka. The same question that you're having for Rashford, we can go at Saka. What if he gets his 200k a week contract? What happens then? How would he perform? He's young. He's a young man. Things can get to his head. Fame can get to his head. And we see what happens to young players sometimes when they get things too early. So don't be sitting there with these arguments when you can throw it back at your own players and then be like, "Oh no, but I
know what my man's doing, KJ." And it's let's say Rashford will get the new deal, then he'll fall off, and it's all hope. And by the way, how do I know this? Because the way people have criticized Arsenal all year has been with the same technique. I'm gonna hope they collapse, hope they fall away, pray this isn't a resurgence. And again, I don't fall foul to that. I just can't be bothered to sit there and lie every day on streams and pretend that Arsenal aren't very good. And some people say Rashford never scored this many goals. No, he's continually improved from the age of 18 till 25, which is very normal. He had one season where he dipped and fell off because the club was in problems and he was on the back of injuries and recoveries from those injuries. But every other year of his career, that's what I mean, trends. Every year from 18 to 25, he's got better. He's had 1 year where there was a dip. The data points, if you look at everything, conclude that he's now getting to where he's expected to get to anyway. So this is not an anomaly. This is where Rashford should be. So to say that he won't be able to maintain this and be consistent doesn't fit with every data point, every bit of match footage, and every season he's had in his 6 or 7 year career. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Going back to what KJ said about Saka playing for a new contract. Saka hasn't had a massive dip in form since he's coming to the Arsenal team. Like I said, he's always been top 3 of our best players. Forget about goal scoring, assistance, forget about stats. I'm talking performance-wise. He's always been our top 3 best performing players since he's actually come to the team, since Emery days. So I'm confident that as soon as he signs that contract, he's still going to carry on performing how he is. With Rashford, he's had moments. Rashford's had moments where United fans have said, get him out of the team. No one's ever said, get Saka out of the team or sell Saka. A lot of United fans wanted him out.
But hold on, though. But wasn't Aubameyang one of your top 3 players every year until he signed that new contract?
No, but Aubameyang was an established player.
Isn't Saka an established player now?
I don't want to like labor on this too long. I get where you're coming from. There are some Man United fans that have never rated Rashford, but you've got to understand why. The reason why was nothing to do with Rashford. It was because these guys majority of them were Martial fanboys. And Man United have been infiltrated by fanboys of certain players for many, many years now. Pogba fanboys. The only guys that hate Bruno spend 5 minutes looking at their TL. They love Pogba. The people that hated Rashford loved Martial.
Yeah.
Man United fans who do not put players above the club all love Marcus Rashford. Of course, in dark moments where things have been awful, players get nasty things said about them. We've seen Arsenal fans say a lot of bad shit about a lot of your players. But Saka not being criticised by your fan base doesn't mean that Rashford's just playing for a new contract and doesn't care. I don't believe that. But it's your opinion, and we'll leave that there.
Yeah.
I've got a few more super chats here. First one says, to me, Saka and Rashford are homegrown players. They will improve after better salaries, but Salah and Aubameyang are not homegrown, is what AMT says. Never compare Mbappe to Rashford. Even Choupo-Moting did more than him. Mbappe comparison is with Pele. Respect Mbappe. 300 club goals for Mbappe. Do it in a better league is what I say. No, I ain't joking. He's great. This here says, can't compare Ten Hag with Arteta. They are in different levels. Ten Hag has experience in coaching than Arteta. They both deserve their due credit. I agree. As an Arsenal fan, happy for United this season because we and them have been in the mud for a long time. Tired of Chelsea, Liverpool and City dominating is what Abu says here. And this says, Rashford can't sniff Mbappe till he scores in a World Cup final. Yeah, listen, I know that's what you're saying, bro. I know you're saying he can't sniff him, but I think that you're never going to stop these debates from happening. I get some people backing Mbappe over him, but you're definitely going to get these here. The Liverpool fan thinks he's making good points. Tom does make good points. There we go. We didn't actually speak Liverpool today because I just didn't want to rub any more salt into the wounds. I felt a bit sorry for you, Tom. I thought we'd leave it out.
What is there to talk about?
Nothing.
It was awful.
I actually feel like with the City and the Liverpool games this weekend, there was like no talking points from them at all. That anybody's got anything to really say on the matter.
I thought Chelsea was as bad as that 0-0 draw we had with Chelsea was, the worst it was going to get. No, at least that one had a moment. This one was just awful.
Now is not the time to panic. That comes next Sunday.
I'm not bothered.
I'm looking for. I won't be on the top 6 show actually this week because I've got a little procedure I've got to have done. But I'm very much looking forward to that game. I can't wait for it. But I'm nervous still because I never write Liverpool off. That's going to be a big one when we build up to that later.
The worst part is that's not even our next game. We've got Wolves again. We've got to play Wolves again on Wednesday.
Free Citizen here says Terry acting like he can predict Rashford's future based on a purple patch is hilarious, but I'm not. Again, you're literally ignoring what I've said. I'm basing it on 7 years of every year of his career, barring one, is he improved and he has got better in his all-round play, his goal scoring, his assisting, his supporting of the team, his leadership capabilities. Everything has improved year on year, barring a single year where he had a dip, and we know why that dip happened. So anyone that thinks this purple patch is why Man United fans are excited is wrong. You're not listening. We're excited because Rashford is getting back and now beyond where he was a year ago, and he's getting to where we all expected him to be. Most Man United fans expected Rashford to be at this level, and we're proud he's getting there. Absolutely proud. So a nice try, my friend.
I just want to say one thing.
You ignored
I just want to say one thing, Terry. I hate Arsenal fans that say, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I'm happy for Man United that they're doing well. What do you mean I'm happy for Man United? You can't be happy for a rival team succeeding and doing well. Every time I watch Man United, I don't think I smile once. Every bad pass that they do, that's when I start smiling. Every goal they can see, that's when I start smiling.
That's the one thing. That's the one thing I've agreed with you. Say I want Arsenal to burn
through
it.
my whole years of growing up in school, I saw Man United with Sir Alex Ferguson winning trophies, and I went through really bad PTSD with Man United, and because I was one of the only couple Arsenal fans, and then there was about 10, 15 United fans. So if you're happy for Man United doing well again, then you cannot be a true Arsenal fan. You cannot be happy for Tottenham, Chelsea, or Man United. Okay, Liverpool just started doing well the past couple of years.
You know what I like? Do you know what
else
I like about you admitting that? I said on the show last week that when the fixtures come out, every single person that's ever on our panels, every member of the top 6, check when they're playing Man United. We are within the top 2 to top 3 of all your biggest rivals. Like, that's how big Man United are. So I expect you not to be happy for us. However, I do like a dance partner. So for me, there are certain teams, Arsenal, Liverpool, are my top 2 in terms of if we're gonna have a dance partner that we're gonna challenge for, be the best 2 teams with. I personally just want it to be one of those 2 teams. So when I say I'm happy for them, it's not on a fan level, no, but you need a dance partner. Us going up against, very good Newcastle, very good Arsenal, very good Chelsea, very good City teams as Man United and coming out on top for 2 decades, it makes it sweeter than if we were just the best team and nobody else was anywhere near us. I don't know what that would feel like. It might feel really good, but for me, there was a sweetness in beating very good teams to those titles. So you do need a dance partner to make it feel sweeter. But again, young Arsenal fans don't know that because how old are you, dude? What are you, 21?
Me, no, 24.
Okay, so you don't remember Arsenal being good?
No, I see them in 2006, 2007, 2008. Those are good days as well.
No, but being good and winning things.
No. I never saw Arsenal win the Premier League. No.
And that's what I mean, though. You don't remember what it was like between 1996 and 2004 when you had a dance partner and you were winning. So that's why some older Arsenal fans are like, I'm happy United are back because the dance partner thing is important. That's all. I didn't mean that as a dig. It's just, I get it.
No chance.
I know you don't because you're still sad because of what they did to you. But listen, I want to say a big thank you to everybody on the show. I really appreciate you all coming on and having your say. Super chatters, really do appreciate all the donations you give to us. We're back tomorrow with more content. Neeks, Tom, dudes, of course, the Jords and Lewis had to leave us a little bit earlier. But thank you all for coming on and having your say. Please smash the like button before you leave as well. And of course, check out Manscaped. 20% discount off of all their products with my promo code TFT. Click on the link in the description below, or it's pinned into the live comment section as well. Go check their website out. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you.